Sharpen all the edges that I hide, I'm a liar. See my body licking up the flames from the fire. They can never kill me, so they feel me even tighter. What remains of us? 40 in a strength, I'm a fighter. 50 in a faith, take me higher. I'm a riser, but my demons like the tide. Blood moon, yellow in my eyes. Blood moon, white faint, light blue, my stains, night flame. Demigod into realms, yeah. Sun breath hit my wrist, blade fall like the mistake. Cares like a peak, yeah. Malachite, turn a tarnish to a grace side, yeah. Kiss a death, but I miss the way it tastes like, yeah. Through the frenzy and the flame, I keep the honor beside me. This faith will abide me, we're burning the tree. Sharpen all the edges that I hide, I'm a liar. See my body licking up the flames from the fire. They can never kill me, so they feel me even tighter. What remains of us? 40 in a strength, I'm a fighter. 50 in a faith, take me higher. I'm a riser, but my demons like a tide. Blood moon, yellow in my eyes. War horse in the crypt, a nightmare, great sword on my hip, in my heart. I'm a riser, but my demons like a tide. Blood moon, yellow in my eyes. But don't wish for walls to talk. They scream until I left the room. Blood writing on the walls tells me I'm born inside a tomb. I don't cower, I just power back. Water breathing got me feeling like I swallowed glass. Form 11, lose the weapon, you don't see it. If you spy it, never try it. They can...
And we are live with another one. Hi, all you BC Wrestle Pod nerds out there, and welcome to the WWE Dual Dynasty review.
Welcome.
I gotta practice because we're about to be in Berlin in 2 weeks.
There you go.
Welcome to the Dual Dynasty review, your weekly WWE review show here on these lovely Sunday morning / afternoon / it might be late at night if you're watching from across the world. We don't know. We just do the things every time. I am one of your hosts, Mikey. Yeah, we just work here. We do the things. It's fantastic.
France and Berlin are like what, 8 hours ahead of us on the Pacific Coast?
Like this. Yeah. It's no reason why the pay-per-view starts at 10 a.m. for us West Coast folks in a couple of weeks, which I'm not going to complain about.
I love it. I'm cool with that.
Eat me some breakfast while I watch people destroy each other in Berlin. Mm-hmm. But I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and joining me this lovely, week is, of course, you can find him on the AEW show as well. But the Professor John is in the house.
Hello. I didn't catch Smackdown or Raw like I should have. I caught some of the highlights and bits and pieces from y'all, so I'm excited to talk about it. Smackdown was a pretty good soap opera this week. Even the wrestling was pretty good. Like that's good for them. So I'm excited to talk about it.
I am too. And of course, rounding out our lovable trio of hosts is the one and only Minnie, who you can find here for WWE and wherever else he decides to pop in. But happy to have you, man.
I'm always around for the WWE stuff because, as you can see, I still won't watch Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I hear the folks that watch Ring of Honor are kind of tired of watching Ring of Honor.
It's like a love-hate relationship. Some weeks it's good, some weeks it's bad. I, as the optimistic person of this whole entire tribe of 9 that we've got going on, I tend to like it a little bit more, but I also can't discredit any criticisms I had because I had some beef, and not the good kind of beef. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up Ring of Honor beef.
Bad the Ring of Honor
The
title.
whole thing is just going to be me versus JVL the whole time.
That is also very fair as well. It'd be fantastic. But I digress. If you want to check out those shows, make sure to check out our YouTube channel, the Twitch, the social medias at BC WrestlePod. We're pretty much anywhere and everywhere. We have a Patreon, we have a PayPal, we have a Venmo. Like, support the channel, and if any sort of way possible. But also make sure that you tune into the social medias because announcements are coming along, because we're going to be having a watch along very soon for night 1 of GCW Homecoming in the next couple of days. I'm super excited. Andrew's super excited. We're going to have a great time. That ladder match on night 1's about to slap.
I should be there late, but I'm excited to watch it and talk about it. That's going to be wild.
Oh, I'm super excited. But that is for all the stuff coming down the pipeline. But we are here to talk about this week in WWE, which, it had its ups and downs. I'm going to just put it like that. There were some things that I thought worked this week in WWE, but I also have some spicy moments that are going to be coming down later in the show. So let's just get started. We are going to begin, as always, by kicking it off with our Monday Night Raw review. And I was telling the boys before we got started that this week Raw was interesting. The last couple of weeks, and dare I say the last month or two of Monday Night Raw, has actually been pretty solid. Everything has been fantastic. I wasn't bored. This week kind of dipped a little bit, not by much, but I was like, I don't think it was a terrible Raw. It was a pretty decent Raw, but it wasn't fantastic or great. And so, as always, I have combined, we're going to condense a 3-hour wrestling show into probably 20-30 minutes because, there was a lot of things that happened. So we're going to stick to the main points of the happen, mostly being the wrestling itself and anything storyline-wise. So let's just kick things off, as we always tend to do here on Monday Night Raw. Let's talk about this week and the Judgment Day as the world turns shenanigans.
This is what I really want the update on, is what happened this week on the Judgment Day.
Raw is Judgment Day.
Raw is Judgment Day, honestly.
Is Judgment Day. They should make it like the old school 80s, the Judgment Day, and have the world turn or whatever else, make it a whole segment. Jesus.
Listen, if there are any animators or YouTubers or anybody who is proficient on, Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, if you get in contact with us, I am willing to shell out some money if you make an animated or a graphic.
Big turns, just make something out of it. Oh, it's so good.
It was fantastic, but let's catch the professor up on the soap opera that is the Judgment Day. So this week, what we had is we had 2 segments really, and that's what kicked off Monday Night Raw, because Mommy Rhea Ripley comes down to the ring, and she just addresses the fact that Dom and Liv betrayed the Judgment Day. She is mad. She has had some time since SummerSlam to kind of have an introspective, reflection, think about certain things, make out with her husband. Lucky man.
Everything I want to say is not appropriate. Please continue. Please keep going.
We're past a minute. You're fine.
Yeah, it's PG-13.
No, it's fine. I just don't want to be judged. Keep going. Keep going.
Put it in the private chat. So while the professor puts it in the private chat for us to see, she talks about it and she's like, you know what? I forgive what happened, but I'm going to still come for that ass, and I'm going to destroy Liv and Dominic. She's going to tear them apart, which prompts Dirty Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan to pop up in the stands where the crowd's at. And, they begin to tell Rhea how do I put this nicely? They basically tear into Rhea is what exactly happens. Liv continues to Liv continues to wrap Dom around her finger, telling Rhea that she's jealous and that she's hateful. And Dominic's just like, I'm going to pick Liv over you any day. She lets me do what I want, play the PS5 anyone I want. and I quote this is not verbatim.
And
This
she
is
calls me daddy.
yeah.
Wow.
So I was just like, we're just prepping for this Netflix era coming over. But
Oh my goodness.
Somebody asked Dom about how they're gonna do the stuff on Netflix, and it was one of the funniest fucking little like things. Because it was like, we got to keep everything don't do it sparingly so it feels special, you know. You're just doing something, you're doing your thing, and then boom, titty.
Wait, what?
That's what Dom said.
So okay, to give a little bit of context, we'll come back to Monday Night Raw because technically this is important. So Dominic Mysterio was the next WWE superstar to be on the Logan Paul podcast, and by the way, we'll talk about both of these. So Dominic was asked about Monday Night Raw going to Netflix starting in 2025, and he's exactly what Minnie said here is that Dominic said this is like, yes, we could get away with so much more on Netflix, but it shouldn't be like all the time. It needs to be built up to it. It needs to be special. It's like, oh, we're doing the typical thing, and then bam, there's a boob in your face. Like,
wow.
He said boom titty.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, by the way, Dom also, I feel like Dom knows some drag queen friends because he's being super shady and reading Logan Paul without reading Logan Paul because they got into the topic of talking about Japan, right? And Dominic's like, hey, Logan, you should go visit Japan. It's so beautiful there. It's fantastic. And Logan was like, yeah, sure. Dominic, I was like, you are my hero, man.
Like, just crushing him. That's fantastic.
Alluding to the fact of what Logan did in Japan while he was there and why he's no longer allowed back into the country.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Without saying it out loud. I have never seen Logan squirm on camera so much as I did with Dominic. So Dominic Mysterio, you're my hero.
I hope they continue doing that to him forever. As talented as he is, he deserves it. I love that. Well, we've been talking about this since January, right? This sort of return to this Attitude Era style. We don't know what it's really going to be called. I hope it's not called Netflix Era. That's going to really upset me if it's called the Netflix Era. But I digress. Because we had what? We had Attitude, Ruthless Aggression, and then I don't know what was kind of after that.
PG.
I call it the dark period.
The dark period.
There's the PG era.
There was the PG era, yeah.
Fine.
And then we had the brand split, which was where we had like brand specific pay-per-views for like a year or two.
Yeah. So, and then we had, audience free era or empty
COVID
arena era, if you want to call it that sort of thing. So we're kind of in that, I don't want to say transition. We're in Papa H era, whatever that's going to be. But I kind of love that we've gone back to this mid to late 90s thing. And I'm biased because, I was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 at the time. So that's what I grew up on.
You are produced a horny teenage boy.
Well, yeah. And now it's on Netflix and I don't have to feel as guilty about it, right? I could be like, oh, I pay monthly for this. It's okay.
That's why I watch wrestling and hear somebody. I want to hear Seth Rollins go, it's Seth fucking Rollins.
Drop a curse word. You muted yourself.
I think you're right. Sorry. I think it's also because the fans, it's costing them money and time to censor the audiences. Because the audiences have sort of demanded now. It's like, if you're going to, if we're going to call and response, sorry, this is a tangent. This is related though. I have friends who are stand-up comics, like professional ones, LA, Chicago, New York, who are doing a lot of work right now. And stand-up has changed drastically over the last 5 years to the point where it's now 5% jokes and 95% crowd work. The crowd wants to and feels like they are involved because I paid money to be here. I'm involved. It's a totally different audience in that sense now. And it's happened in wrestling too. I'm going to bring my own sign with my own QR code for my own podcast or for my own whatever. And I'm going to get involved in what you're doing. So yeah, the natural shift is to go to a Netflix where they can kind of do a little bit more and push that envelope a little bit more when nobody was really checking on the late 90s and they were doing crazy things. I don't think they're going to get anywhere close to 99, 2000 when it was like, oh, you're doing whatever you want, but we'll get close. I'm intrigued.
I'm very intrigued. So this all has to relate to Monday Night Raw, but we come back to where we were talking about. And again, I quote, Dominic Mysterio also gives me chicken nuggies when I want, not nuggets, nuggies.
Ay, Dios mío. Ay, ay, ay.
So then Rhea Ripley ups the ante and responds by basically, yelling at Dominic. It's just like, of course you would pick Liv. I was like, I'm going to tell you something that you have never heard in your entire life. It's like, I'm proud of you, Dominic. I'm like, well, damn. I was like,
Ooh.
And then she also alludes to the fact that Dom doesn't know how to go deep enough when it comes to certain things, which is crazy. It was crazy to hear Rhea say that.
Really? Let me pull that line up.
I was just like,
now?
Yup.
Go check out that promo. It's probably on WWE's YouTube page somewhere, but it was fantastic. But of course, Liv finishes out this part of the promo, talking down to Liv, not talking down to Rhea. And Rhea's just like, are you done talking? Because last I checked, you need to make sure that you have eyes in the back of your head. And Dominic and Liv are like, what are you talking about? And then just a camera shot of Damian Priest coming through the curtain, standing behind them. Bisexual Undertakers in the background. They turn around. Liv goes running down the stairs. Dom tries to join, and then Damian grabs his dirty mullet and then pulls him back through the curtain where the concession stand and the fans are, and just like starts throwing him on tables. There's a chair involved.
Oh man, that's the screenshot of the recap I just pulled up. Is Damian standing there?
Liv spider monkeys on the back of Damian, and Rhea comes in, and then Liv goes to the fire exit with Rhea hot in pursuit while Dominic and Damian are fighting, which then leads into our first match of the evening, which was Damian Priest versus Carlito. Damian Priest ultimately wins. There's a whole brawl with the Judgment Day. Rhea comes to even the odds once again. And then this week's episode of Monday Night Raw is where we make the match official. It is Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. The Terror Twins will be taking on Dirty Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan in a tag team match at Bash in Berlin. So I'm just like, this should be interesting and fun. So that's the Judgment Day as the world turns recap from this week.
Fair enough. That's good to know. I'm interested to see. I'm wondering if we're switching, if Raw is not going to become more of the soap opera than SmackDown, if it's going to kind of shift a little, because there was more wrestling on SmackDown than I'm used to this week.
each week they trade is like, all right, so the first and third week, Monday Night Raw will be the wrestling show.
Wrestling show.
Yeah, exactly.
Wrestling show.
And then you just have NXT, which is like the amalgamation and just the child that is Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. It's like, look at me. I have both wrestling and soap opera every week. Even if it is stupid.
Sexy Red for some reason.
That I was like, why do we have Sexy Red on here? Like, that still blows my mind. But I mean, we have a Joe Hendry now, so that's fun.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Folks that have nothing to do with wrestling know what that is now. Like, they've memed that perfectly.
Joe Hendry is the megastar, and I'm happy to see him in NXT. But of course, me, Will, and Andrew are super happy that we also get to see him in TNA. But that is our Judgment Day update for the week. So let's get into the other things that went down this week in episode. So let's talk about the storylines that have been going on with Raw that are continuing. So first, we are still having the New Day and the Final Testament go at it. This time, now that we have an Odyssey Jones involved, Odyssey had his first in-ring match this week against local talent Vincent Winnie, who happens to be Cora Jade's boyfriend. So he's also a PC performer. So shout out to him for getting television time. And next week,
last week I said Odyssey Jones is making something new with this, but now that I'm watching this stuff, still don't care.
This
storyline's been going on for fucking ever.
This feud between New Day and the Final Testament has been going on since pretty much since WrestleMania, if I'm correct about it too.
Really?
Before that,
it's been going on forever.
I wonder why.
Next week is a 6-man tag, so it's the New Day and Odyssey Jones taking on the Final Testament. So hopefully they pull this trigger, because Xavier Woods is still on the fence whether he's going to stay face or heel. But
is he going to turn heel and join the Final Testament?
I don't know. That's what the rumors are. I hope not, because I love Xavier Woods and I love Karrion Kross, but like Karrion and the Final Testament are struggling right now.
Yo, but heel Xavier Woods, with that
he's
mouth.
no longer created wrestler 425, but
Who, Karrion Kross
it's tough for sure.
or Austin Creed?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
I love Xavier Woods. I wish they pushed him more and gave him more. He was doing a lot of creative stuff for a long time, and it seems like he kind of got stuck. I feel like him as a heel would be fascinating to watch because he's been such a face for damn near 20 years now. All of his from amateur, I don't say amateur, but from like the indies all the way up, he's been a face. So I think he could go heel. It'd be interesting to see him do it. I hope
that is definitely a thing.
But I don't know if the crowd will follow. That's why I'm nervous, right? Because he's so good. I don't know.
It's one of those problems where you've been a face for a very long time. I mean, to be fair, the New Day started out as heels, but then they organically became faces by winning over the crowd. But they've been faces for so long. For me personally, I think heel Xavier Woods would be interesting, but the problem is I don't see where we're going with it. Like him versus Kofi, sure, but like you can only go so far with that kind of story.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like he should have got a push, and I don't know whatever happened. He won King of the Ring. Remember when we had King of the Ring? Like he won that way back.
That was during the other era where there were no stakes for the winner, and now that Papa H is in charge, they got SummerSlam championship matches if they won the tournament. So I'm just like, fine, whatever. So some other storylines have been going on. Ivy Niles finally picks a side. She picks, American Made because there was a Texas Tornado tag team match between Alpha Academy, which is Akira Tozawa and Otis, taking on American Made, which is the Creed brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree were out on ringside. Ivy chose a side during this match. She is going with the Creeds. She destroyed Maxine Dupree, which allowed the Creeds to destroy Otis and pick up the victory here. It seems that these guys might be feuding for a little bit, which I'm cool with. Also, whoever was in charge of the graphics that night got fired because they misspelled American and Tornado in the graphic.
No, they didn't.
They misspelled it. I was like, you're fired.
I gotta go find this right now. Is this true?
Yes, they misspelled it in the graphic. I'm like, you're fired.
in the bumper or like in the match itself?
Like leading into the match, and I even think during the match too, it was still misspelled.
Oh my god, I'm gonna go pull that up because that's hilarious.
So speaking of hilarious themes, R-Truth continues to be the national treasure that we need to keep, safe, because he gets a match for Miz for feeling bad about what happened last week. And so R-Truth tells Miz, hey, I got you a match against Braun, the Intercontinental Champion. And Miz is like, wait, but Braun has a match against Sammy, so how'd that work? It's like, here's the graphic. And it turns out it's The Miz versus Braun. Sin Reed.
That's hilarious. I was going to ask you how that happened. I saw that on my recap. Like, wait, they did what?
I saw that. I was like, I was watching and I was like, Braun. Oh, of course. I was hoping it would have been like fucking Big Braun. God damn it.
I was just like, oh, but this segment even gets better because Miz is like, are you kidding me, Truth? I'm going to get squashed. I'm going to die. We're not having this match. And R-Truth is like trying to hype up the Miz. And then Randy Orton walks in and Miz is like, Randy, tell R-Truth that I can't beat Bronson Reed. And Randy's like, Miz, you are a 2-time Grand Slam champion. You got this. And both him and Truth are hyping it up. So Miz leaves to he's all hyped up. He goes to get ready for his match. R-Truth turns to Randy Orton and is like, do you think he can do it? And Randy just gives like the, he's going to die face.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Randy Orton has this thing where he could just do comedy without being super explicit about it. He's just like facial expressions. I was just like, perfect.
Randy's at the point of his career where he doesn't need to fill seats anymore. He can just have fun.
Yes. Great. The name alone will bring people.
He's not forcing anything anymore.
No. And to fast forward later, as we continue with Truth, Miz definitely gets destroyed by Big Bronson Reed. But then Bronson Reed commits a crime because he tsunamis R-Truth 3 times after the match is over. And I was just like, how dare you? So R-Truth, thoughts and prayers.
Oh, R-Truth. I'm so glad that he's working and still there. I'm pulling up the end of. Oh my god, that's the clip on WWE. Is him getting smashed? Holy crap!
It is fantastic. So
Adam Pearce trying to stop it. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Anyway, sorry.
So some other small things before we get into some things that happened. For the main event, we did have a 2 out of 3 falls match for the Intercontinental Championship between Sammy and Braun Breaker. I thought it was a fun match itself. Braun obviously retained. So I think we are now officially moving Sammy away from the Intercontinental Championship, and we might throw him in the tag division because we're continuing, like we saw this week on Raw. Him and Jay Uso are like getting buddy again, so we might do Sammy and Jay in some capacity, go after.
And then when we get to SmackDown, we kind of know where we're going. If you watch the tea leaves in SmackDown.
I like that phrase. I was like, I got that reference. I love it so much. So Braun retained. It was fantastic. Some other things that happened this week. Randy Orton and Gunther are continuing to build their feud for Bash in Berlin. Randy Orton out of nowhere delivers the RKO onto Gunther, which was kind of fantastic.
Looks gorgeous.
It was a beautiful sell by Gunther, which this all happened while Drew McIntyre and CM Punk were fighting on the outside of the ring during this whole thing. And literally CM Punk got Drew's belt and started whipping him like a Mexican parent. Like,
I saw that on Instagram the next day. They were showing clips of what Drew looked like. It's like, oh my goodness.
The picture of his back, I was just like, that's like chocolate level status right there, bro.
Again, things I want to say, I can't say. I think that there's
you can say them. This is a safe environment.
At least yeah, CM Punk beat him so bad, he's got to get his face tattooed on his neck. I think, the clips of that are great. They're hitting each other super hard.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a recall from when Drew was beating him with, I don't know what he beat CM Punk with that one time, and we saw clips of it the next day. Like, they're just crushing each other because they know they can take it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the report is backstage. I don't know. I'm sure we'll hear someday what's going on. They're so violent and mean to each other. They must have some sort of I almost said safety word. That's not what I mean. But they have that rapport, right? They're comfortable hurting each other in a professional way, and it's wild to watch happen.
It is. But speaking of wild things happening too, the last thing that we're going to talk about is this whole entire Pete Dunne and Sheamus feud that we got going on. Ludwig Kaiser also seems to be getting involved with this. So
yeah.
Pete Dunne beat the tar this week out of Sheamus with the Shalele. So the Shalele came back into play this week.
What is going on?
I'll take this over Butch.
Honestly,
sure.
Which we even got this interview at the beginning of this week's Raw where, the interview is like Butch and Pete Dunne's like, don't you ever call me that name again. It was intense.
All right.
It's really interesting because on Raw, Pete Dunne is feuding with Sheamus, and then on NXT, this man might potentially go to No Mercy to face Ethan Page for the NXT Championship. It's fantastic.
Wow.
He's fighting everybody.
Pete Dunne is just out for blood against everyone. Don't matter what brand you're on, and
So are we getting Pete Dunne Sheamus anytime soon?
Maybe if we don't get it at Bash in Berlin, I'm pretty sure we might be getting it on Raw, and who knows?
I feel like that could be incredible.
Or depending on how they want to take this out, I could see that happening at Bad Blood too.
That's right. We got the Halloween. We have our Halloween Havoc coming. All right. Yeah.
We have Bad Blood at the beginning for main roster, and then NXT has Halloween Havoc at the end of the month.
That's right. Woof. I'm intrigued. It almost makes me want to watch more Raw, but I just don't have time to watch 84 hours of wrestling.
I think what I'm gonna start doing is because the next day they do like a 10-minute. Here's what happened on Raw recap video from WWE. I'm like, I'm gonna just start sending this.
Yeah, I gotta do a little bit of my homework. I read this stuff throughout the week. Mm-hmm. I'm reading these things throughout the week. Like, oh yeah, this. Oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, this. Oh yeah, that. And
also, another really good source if you don't have a lot of time. Bleacher Report does a really good review.
Yeah,
brief review of both shows.
Fair enough.
So. All right, let's talk about the last major thing I want to talk about.
Watch our review too, guys.
Yes,
I mean watch us. We're great.
Like if you're gonna watch anybody, watch us and Simon Miller, friend to the channel, in our heads.
Love Simon. I've been working out too much. My shirt doesn't fit anymore. I gotta get a new Simon Miller shirt.
Or we'll send you lots of DoorDash orders. Just kidding. Alrighty, so the last thing I want to talk about this week, and this was my low light for Monday Night Raw this week. What are we doing with these women tag team championships? Because
apparently fucking nothing.
So it was a no contest DQ because stuff was happening outside the ring, right?
So if anybody who watched our review last week, we talked about this during the SmackDown portion because we had the DQ from SmackDown, and then this week on Raw, we were having a number one contenders match to see who would face Alba and Isla for those titles. It was Damage Control. So in this case, it was Kairi Sane and Io Sky because Dakota's out with a meniscus injury again for 8 to 10 weeks. I was like, damn it, Dakota, between you and Tegan Nox, you're always injured. And it's sad because we were finally getting somewhere, Dakota, but thankfully it's not going to be a whole year. It's going to only be 8 to 10 weeks. So Io and Kairi are going to be holding it down. So I already should have known that this was not going to end the way it was supposed to by red flag number 1, which was the official name for the, Team Scissor Kick, because that's what we've called them, but that is not what WWE has called them. Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, and Sonya Deville are known as the Pure Fusion Collective. And I was just like, I like Team Scissor Kick better. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think that name is terrible.
I was just like,
sounds like the name of some fucking anime group.
Yeah, from but not
cool.
1990s Funimation, like old school. Like, what are you're just putting words?
Like, this is like a Saint Seiya like enemy.
Oh my god! I love you so much, Vinny.
Yeah.
It's giving me Ghost Story dub vibes.
You doing your homework yet? Oh, sorry, I forgot you're autistic. You homework yet? You do?
He dislikes it. This is oh my gosh. As a Patreon exclusive, we should react to the Ghost Stories dub. Is just like,
I feel like
you guys hear anything? You know what I hear? I hear you shut the fuck up.
we should do shitty voiceovers for like promos.
Oh my gosh!
We all just like cut really like shitty versions,
like
of
bad
promos.
WWE promo.
JVL and I we should get together and do a Mystery Science Theater style, like just ripping promos as they happen. Just get a super cut of an hour's worth and just crush them.
Oh, I'm writing this down. But
I want to be there when y'all record this because I might piss myself.
Yeah, honestly, forget being a part of it. We're just gonna be there to watch and laugh my butt off. So, but back to what we were talking about. This was supposed to be a number one contenders match, and then because Isla got kicked in the face at some point during this match, she jumps in, causes the DQ, everybody starts to brawl, and then you're like, we don't have a number one contender, so guess what? Tomorrow on Monday Night Raw, we're gonna have a triple threat championship match for these titles, and I'm just like, really? This was the only women's match we had on Raw this week. FYI.
One, that's ridiculous. Two, I get that you have to do some finagling to make everyone look strong and nobody wants to eat the pin, but I think DQs and draws kind of wear on the audience. I don't remember seeing this many as I have in the last year. They're all over the place now. And I don't remember this growing up as a kid. It was very, very rare that there was ever any of that. So if you have a DQ, it's got to be an obvious one, right? Like, oh, this happened, that's a DQ. Not these accidental, you're just like, it's like, what do we get? I don't know. And you screw over the women doing it like this. So I think they could have made a better choice here. But I'm just a bald guy on the internet.
Right. And I have a big problem with this because you caused the DQ on SmackDown last week. You caused the DQ on Raw this week.
Right.
So you're going to have Alba and Isla face, Team Scissor Kick and Damage Control. But then you also have 2/3 of Black Girl Magic on SmackDown waiting in the wing still. Like, this is crazy. Yep. And then that's not even mentioning that these titles are supposed to go everywhere. Shoot, the best title defense that Alba and Isla have had was a couple weeks ago for NXT for Great American Bash, their TV special against, some younger talent like Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. Even though they weren't going to win those titles, they made the newbies made those girls run for their money. I'm just saying. those titles should be defended across the brands, but there has to be a semblance of some sort of story because DQs on SmackDown and DQs on Raw is kind of ridiculous at this point.
Yeah. And it's across the industry. It's not just WWE. It's all over the place.
Oh my gosh. It's like with tags and trios, it's just like, we don't know what to do. So we're going to have time limit draws and DQ finishes and throw everyone together. I'm looking at you, AEW, because that's what we did this week with the trios.
We're going to talk about that Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
I think a time limit draw, not to go on a tangent, we got stuff to talk about. A time limit draw done well is great. A beautiful thing. An MJF Adam Cole time limit draw. We had another one earlier this year that was like, what? Blew my mind. The Will Ospreay, I think, had one on another promotion. There was a time limit draw, right? Or am I crazy?
Yeah. No, you are. And then this week, too, we had a time limit draw on TNA. Nick Nemeth and Josh Alexander went the full 30 minutes. And it sets up what I'm thinking is going to be a really fun match, a 1-hour Iron Man match between the two for the TNA World Championship.
Speaking of the former person known as Dolph Ziggler, did y'all see that when he was at AAA this most recent time, fucking randomly JVL was there?
Yeah, he was accompanying him to the ring, and I was just like, okay.
JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield was randomly just there.
I thought you said JVL.
I did.
Our company home, and I was like, wait,
I did because I read the Still Won't Watch Ring of Honor, and I just slipped out of JVL, and I said it. I meant to say JBL because apparently JBL was also there.
So
I was like, John's getting TNA money. Good job.
AAA had their Triple Mania this week, and Nick Nemeth did lose his title to Alberto Del Patron. So Alberto Del Rio always being the bane of Dolph Ziggler's existence, no matter where he goes.
I don't like that guy.
No, nobody does at this point. So that's what happened on Raw this week. Again, there was some fun stuff, but the women were done dirty. And I'm happy to see that SmackDown did a somewhat of a better job this week. So let's move on to the Blue brand, where we're going to talk all about the SmackDown. And we kick off with something for the women. Because
Roman Reigns has been back for 2 weeks and hasn't said a fucking word.
Who?
Roman.
Oh, Roman? Yeah.
What's your one?
Do you want to talk about that now? Or you want to talk about it at the end, Minnie?
It doesn't matter. It's just like he's been back and hasn't said a fucking word. Like, we'll talk about it now. We'll talk about it now because
let's do it.
Talking about it. Yeah. So Roman comes back, doesn't say a fucking word, and then gets his ass beat by Jacob Fatu in a boot.
So I have a few thoughts and theories here. I don't think they want Roman to speak because they want to keep the aura of returning original tribal chief as long as possible, right? You can ruin it if you speak to it too much. So I think they're going to let that ride a few more weeks.
They need to do something soon before we get bored.
I think the way SmackDown was going with Sammy and Jimmy, Sammy and Jimmy kind of coming together again, and there's this alluding to that, and then what's happening over on SmackDown with Fatu hurt but still doing crazy things in the ring, like that's wild that he appeared at all.
So we haven't seen Roman get his ass beat that bad since his first feud with Brock Lesnar.
Fair enough. Yeah. I believe that.
Like Roman got laid out by Jacob Fatu, so they're still building Fatu as being like it's gonna take like full powered, mastered Ultra Instinct Super Saiyan 1000 Roman Reigns to be able to take this fucking.
I love it.
I think they're gonna get a few more family members involved. At least that's been the rumor for however long, because it's gonna be this bloodline Civil War thing. They're gonna ride it out to the end of the year. They're probably gonna wait till the Rumble, or maybe even longer. Right? They can milk this all the way to WrestleMania if they really wanted to, and I think they can if they do the heist movie thing where they're slowly assembling the team, and now you got to get Jimmy and Jay, and then now you get Sammy involved in this, and now you got to go find the wise man. It's like, well, we need one more family member because now they have 6 and we have 5. Like, I think they could build this and build this and build this, and that's their plan because Triple H loves long-term storytelling. He's going to make us wait forever. I don't think Roman should speak yet. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think they should lean on this a little bit longer, because if he comes out now, he could risk sounding really whiny and like, but I want to be the tribal chief. Boo! Like he could come off really, throw the tantrum. Like, I want the Urafala. But if he waits until he gets the correct bloodline, or whatever you want to call it, the original timeline, Earth 1 or 2 2A, I think then you can pull the trigger. You can kind of finesse that a certain way, but I don't know. Every time I think I know what they're doing, they do something completely different.
I don't know what they're gonna do with this. I'm hoping they don't milk this for another fucking year. Because this bloodline story's been going on since COVID as a whole. Because this is like we're like phase 17 for the bloodline right now.
Sure.
So I'm hoping this hopefully comes to it. I'm hoping Survivor Series is like a good fitting end for this.
Maybe.
Because that's when you're going to get the Civil War is like the best place for a big faction on faction warfare is Survivor Series, especially if it's a War Games match. It's like that's what the whole PLE is set for.
I think you're right. I think that's why they're not going to do it.
Oh man.
Right? Because I think you're absolutely right, and I think it'll work. I think with the family turmoil, with the passing away of the Wild Samoans now, I think there's a lot of what do we do, how do we do, what do we do thing. Not to invoke more names, but Rikishi keeps talking about it and hinting at things that all of a sudden he sounds surly, but in a kayfabe kind of way, where it's like, wow, wait, what? The Rock said something earlier this week about the bloodline, so even he's talking about it. So they're all something's cooking up behind the scenes.
Well, we knew Rock was going to eventually get involved again, and I think we're going to have like Rock's little faction, which is Solo's group, or it's going to be Rock with this whole new faction of bloodline, the weekday versus the original tribal chief.
And then we have three different factions.
I've seen that.
That'd be crazy.
One, which I think that's too many Samoans. Because it's a bunch of Samoans and Sami Zayn.
It's true though. We have a bunch of Samoans and Sami Zayn.
It's like
if it was
you guys ever
The Rock.
Who's
The Rock's daughter? I just forgot her name.
So Ava, but she's general managing NXT, so I don't think she would get involved into this.
Oh, damn, that would be cool.
It makes me think there's this clip from it's one of the last chance used, but I was talking about basketball, and the coach is like, "Y'all are a bunch of African Americans and Mark," and it's a white ginger kid sitting in the room.
That's exactly Roman.
That's Sami Zayn, but in this whole thing,
you are all Samoan and Sami Zayn,
and then you have Sami Zayn, but. So I don't know what the plan is, and I'm hoping that we get something.
So here's what I think is going to happen
soon. Something needs to happen soon. Yes, watching Jacob Fatu destroy everybody is going to be entertaining. But when is he going to get destroyed?
That is very fair because Jacob Fatu right now is like Jacob Fatu right now is like the Umaga right now because Umaga went for a very long period of time, just this unbeatable monster.
So good.
And then eventually when he was defeated, everyone's like, oh, wait, no, he can't be beaten. Let's do this. But here's what I think is going to happen. Because obviously
they do the post-beaten Jacob Fatu better than they did the post-beaten Umaga.
Yeah. But here's what I think we're setting up. Because I don't think we're going to see much of Bloodline at Bash in Berlin. But what I do think is going to happen is I think Roman and Solo are going to have a match for the Ula Fala at Bad Blood. Something's going to go down there, which means that after Bad Blood, you literally have like 6 to 7 weeks to build to War Games in which everyone. So you see Roman, and I think Roman, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think Roman should lose at Bad Blood and then have Roman, who is going to be your babyface in all this, start collecting people to get on this team. And then Roman should inevitably win at War Games, put the storyline to bed, and then Roman going into, starting December and then going into 2025, you can start building Cody Roman 3.
Sure.
Yes. I just don't know how well they're going to want to do like Roman's first match since losing at Mania to lose again.
Maybe through shenanigans is the best.
I think
way
definitely will have to be like the full bloodline will have to come out and like decimate Roman for him to lose.
I think that's more interesting.
It took the combined power of a triple of Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, John Cena, and The Undertaker to take him down. And it'll just be really weird if Solo just beats him.
That's very fair.
Yeah. I don't think Solo is ever going to win again without help. I think he's going to be that heel from now on. He's always going to have someone interfere, which is not too dissimilar from Roman at the peak of Bloodline, which seems like there's always something that's interfering there. And that's how you're tribal chief for so long, is the tribe helps you win. I actually agree with a handful of these points. I don't think they're going to pull the trigger this soon. I think they're going to sit here and milk it. I think the tell will be Roman will start doing whenever Roman gets on the mic, he's going to do the penance, humble yourself. I know I've made mistakes in the past. I've had to talk to my family. He's going to invoke his father and uncle. Like he's going to talk about, hey, I've had to change. I've noticed these things. I'm a different person. And then he's going to have to do a little bit of an apology tour to recreate a bloodline that's, honorable and just and all that other stuff that they love to do in kayfabe land. I think once we start seeing that, then we could start nailing down. We'll know how soon they'll be seeing those matches based on the calendar and whatever else. I think they're going to milk it, though. They love milking this bloodline thing. It sells the T-shirts. It gets people interested. I personally don't think we need a Cody Roman 3. I think it's already buried. I think we've seen it. I think Cody's fought the bloodline too much. And him and Kevin Owens have kind of said that on the mic. Like, I've spent so much time on this bloodline thing.
Yeah. Kevin, Cody, and to a certain extent, Randy too. Like the whole entire leading into Mania has been fighting, even post Mania, this new version of the bloodline, which is kind of nuts. So, but speaking of milking things, the other thing that SmackDown likes to do is apparently
we got the bloodline thing out of the way. We can talk about everything.
Yeah, that was the big thing. But the other thing that we're probably going to milk is how long we're going to keep this Andrade Carmelo Hayes feud going. Because they had another match this week, but the difference was Carmelo Hayes was able to win this one.
So Carmelo Hayes finally won a match.
They said this was only the third time they've met.
Yes.
Didn't they have 2 other matches a month or 2 ago?
Actually, no, not really.
Really? I thought they had a few other ones. Maybe I'm crazy.
We're all a little bit of mad.
I hope that it's every week on SmackDown. There's a new Carmelo Andrade match for the next 20 years. I think
honestly, make a best of 7, and then the blow-off match be at a pay-per-view. But again, there's nothing I can add that we haven't already said about Carmelo and Andrade. Yeah. Both of them are fantastic.
They are.
This match was really, really fun.
Yeah.
So then also Grayson Waller gets the bricks beat off him from Kevin Owens. They had that 4-minute match. Cody Rhodes comes down. They were teasing Kevin Owens, had the chair, looked at the chair, looked at Cody, and then put it down. I was like, don't make Kevin Owens heel. We talked about this last week. I don't want heel Kevin Owens because he always turns, and I don't want that. But I'm still excited for their match at Bash in Berlin. Hey, Professor, we got your favorite thing. We had the Olive Garden segment with Legado del Fantasma.
And this was a cheaper franchise Olive Garden. They had different seats in the back. They were in a rugged booth this time.
It's like they went to Olive Garden, but it's in the back of like a New York bodega.
I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, this, and I forgot that this is the thing they did before.
It's perfect. And he was angry, like Solo or not Solo. I'm sorry, Santos was like, no, we angry this time. We're angry. It's like, oh, you're angry this time. Okay.
They're angry as one dude's in the back sipping.
They're also very careful not to swish the fake cranberry juice, grape juice in the glass, so it's not obviously not wine.
Right. Someone give this man a Capri Sun.
Oh, it was so funny to me. I can't not see. We're in the back of an Olive Garden, and I was like, that one was a rugged Olive Garden wherever they shot that one.
In a bodega.
Santos's promos are getting better. They're growing on me a little bit. I kind of like that we're now in this sort of, who we are. We are Legado de Fantasma. Like there's this Godfather feel now. In the beginning, it was sort
Nacho
of
Libre, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now I care a little bit. I'm a little more invested in this now.
I'm waiting for Santos. Yeah, leading into this, I was waiting for Santos at one point to be like, and the stretchy pants. Like
whoever got Escobar doing the Escobar. I think that's brilliant.
Oh, so good, right? Which leads into LA Knight kind of promo afterwards. Yeah. It's like, that was a boring. Yeah.
He crushed him. It was hilarious.
We're getting this championship match next week on SmackDown between the two.
Yeah, and I think LA Knight's showing that he can hold the belt and he can hold interest. Someday he's going to have to drop this title if he wants the bigger ones, and I think eventually they can and they will, but I hope they let this ride for a while just to give that U.S. title some prestige because it's already working. Mm-hmm. It just means that Santos is going to lose, and that's a shame because Santos could probably hold the belt and do really well as well. Now they're just against scheduling, calendar, and talent, right? Like that's the booking is brutal. So we'll see.
So then let's talk about the last thing for the men's matches in the men's segment this week before we get to the women's, because again, Street Profits and DIY just burnt the roof off the place.
Fantastic.
Like Jiminy H Christmas. This match was my favorite thing from WWE this week.
It was really good. It was this close to being on my 2024 list. I'm going to go back and watch it probably, but I was like, damn, that deserves a second look. This is really good.
These motherfuckers go, oh.
Exactly.
Well, it's funny, and I know we don't want to talk about it too long because we have to talk about Johnny Gargano just looks like an unemployed cousin. Right? He doesn't have a six-pack. He doesn't have massive traps. He's not bald and 6'8".
He is generic wrestler 529.
But he shows up. He's a cheat code. Some of the stuff he does, I'm like, how did you even do that?
Years of wrestling, man. Like he is an independent darling.
Yeah, and it's remarkable, and I love that and I know we're saying generic wrestler, whatever. I would take that a step farther and go full archetype and be like, he's an everyman.
Yes, exactly.
There's that everyman sort of, I look at you and go, I know that guy. And part of me goes, that guy, I know that guy. That guy works with me. Or I know that student. Like it's just
like I've seen this dude at Circle K yesterday.
Literally yesterday. Eating that one hot dog. You're like, really? You ate that? I don't know. It's been rolling.
And then next thing you know, he's doing 4 quadruple flips and dropping into his head. You go, oh, but you look like a dude.
How did you do that? Who's controlling you?
You just ate a hot dog yesterday that was questionable, and now you're doing this.
You went from questionable hot dogs to legend in 24 hours.
You know why he ate that hot dog, John?
Why?
Because he wanted to.
I love our little inside
mini
joke.
wins. That was perfect.
It definitely was. Listen, I love Montez is always great, but man, Angelo kind of stood out to me, man. Just being the powerhouse for Street Profits, doing my favorite thing.
Were fantastic.
Everybody did great, and I was just like, I want this match to go on forever, but it could not. But
they got 2 commercial breaks, 2,
which was great. And Street Profits win, so it's going to be Street Profits. I believe they said next week, Street Profits versus the Bloodline for these titles. I was like, they about to go hard in the paint, and I'm here for it. So,
this version might actually win because they don't have Jacob Fatu wrestling. It's the Gorillas of whatever the fuck they're called.
Well, actually, no, it is Jacob and Tama.
It is Jacob Fatu. He's just wrestling with the boot on. He just don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
dude's gonna wrestle with the boot. That's
a weapon.
Crazy.
With his super kicks, that's a weapon.
He kicked Roman with it. Did you see him kicking with it?
By the way, shout out to Roman Reigns for giving me a great meme face, like when he got knocked down. Yeah, exactly.
I got an inappropriate joke with it, but I'm gonna keep it to myself.
Quick to the private chat.
I got you.
So while Minnie is typing that in the private chat, let's talk about the last thing, which was the women of SmackDown this week, because they got to do more this week, which was nice. So let's start off with Nia Jax's championship celebration. We're already planting the seeds for Tiffany, like not having it. But the best thing, Professor, that happened during this championship segment is we got a preview of a West End preview of Pretty Deadly, the musical.
Oh, it was so good. Just the 30 seconds we got of it, I was like, and it's there. It's perfect. It's campy, it's silly, it made no sense. They're just kind of making up some words. These two are fearless. Like they could do. I hope they're hinting at it. If it's the two of them and Tiffany doing a Broadway thing, oh please, I will eat that with many a spoon. That's so fun.
I love Pretty Deadly. They can do no wrong in my eyes. But yeah, but Nias is like, Tiffany, this is a lot of pink. This isn't really in my style. But here's what we should do. All of you shall bow down to my greatness. And Tiffany, wasn't willing to do that, that's when she threw it over to Pretty Deadly. I was just like, we're planting the seeds. Tiffany's going, I think Nia is going to get such a big ego that she's going to push Tiffany too far. And Tiffany's like, you know what? Bucket, I'm gonna cash this in right now.
Yep. I think it's a matter of time. I think that might be if they could string that into the musical, that would be gold. And we'll see if that works. I can't
Pretty Deadly. Are they gay or European?
Please drop that line. Is he gay or European? Oh.
It's and for those of you who have been watching us long enough, you probably get that inside joke between me and Professor.
Yep. Go watch your theater, kids.
I've been here for a while, and I don't.
Seriously.
Yeah, I'll send it to you, Minnie.
It's fantastic. So that takes. The last thing I forgot is that Michin had enough and just destroyed everybody with the kendo stick, both women and men included. That she was very inclusive by beating everybody up with the kendo stick. She's like, everyone could get a hit.
She done crushed everybody, which is great. I love that she's there. I'm not that she's being used. I think that's fantastic.
Well,
it's a shame she's ridiculous outnumbered, and she's going to kind of get buried every time. But I'm interested to see where this goes. If Bailey comes in and saves her someday, or if she creates her own little faction-y thing.
It might. Well, I mean, apparently, because all you have to do is to get championship matches is to beat the living bricks off of the champion. Because later in the evening, Michin is walking out of Nick Aldis's office, and gets interrupted by Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. And you know what? We find out that Michin's getting a championship match against Nia, and which causes Chelsea and Piper to get mad and go into Nick's office. Nia Jax tries to jump Michin. Nick comes out, and I'm like, Nia Jax, you better back up. Nick, all this is shoulders alone are big enough to take anybody out. That man barely fills out his suit. And I was like, sir, it's about to explode if you turn the wrong way.
I mean, Adam
damn big.
Adam Pearce looks great in a suit, but Wade, like all the British, when they put those suits on, it's like, oh my God.
I was like, hold up, wait a minute.
And then they always fight in the suit. Like, put the suit on to go fight. It's like, what?
I was like, how is it still in one condition?
Exactly. This is remarkable.
We love Michin in this household.
Yeah, Michin's amazing.
She is
killing it.
So the last thing that we really have to talk about this week when it comes to the women's action is we had Naomi and Blair rematch. Again, it was just kind of a conjunctual storyline with Alba and Isla and Blair with the whole entirety of Black Girl Magic. So Blair and Naomi had a match. Naomi lost in her hometown. So WWE keeps that trend going for a little bit.
That's pretty remarkable. Yeah.
I did like this match. I felt like they were a lot less in their head, but I still saw some points where Naomi... It was a little combination of both. Naomi and Blair waited a bit for certain spots, but I will say this is the better match that they've had so far in this whole entire feud.
Blair seems to have a good 60 to 90 seconds to get started. And I don't remember seeing that for her on the NXT way back when I was watching some of that stuff, where I was like, she was always used to be really on it. And for some reason, she's gotten called up. She's a little heady. I don't know if there's more to remember. I don't know if they're just not calling spots the same way. But her and Naomi were a lot more snug this second half of this. And I was like, okay, we got a real match here. Okay, fine. I wonder, and I've heard this, I don't know, we'd have to talk to a real wrestling person to know this. It's sort of a badge of honor to put someone over in your hometown. There's sort of a humbling and respect of, I'll do this to you in my hometown. I don't need this crowd. I'm bigger than my hometown sort of thing. Other than, besides other wrestlers who I could name off the top of my head, who never lose in their hometown and refuse to, there are others who are like, it's my hometown. I could still put you over. I'm bigger than that. The industry, what we do is more important than the pettiness of that stuff. Sidebar. Give the women more time.
How to end this segment? More time.
Give them more time. I mean, they only had 7-ish minutes, and I feel like they were getting warmed up, and then it was over. Poof. It's like, oh, okay.
The dumb thing I hate about it right now is I think WWE is in a weird spot. I know Triple H is trying, but I think creative is like, unless your name is Rhea Ripley, nobody cares. And we're like, no. We care about these other stories too.
Get us interested. Yeah. What are you trying to do? No, I agree. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not Rhea and Liv. It's not their fault.
No.
So I was just like, we want more women. And here, it's not fair to compare, but NXT tends to be my favorite thing every week. And yes, I'm totally biased because I love NXT. But NXT every week between main roster shows and NXT always every week for the last couple of months has always had the most women's matches. In fact, they probably have more women's matches than men's matches in NXT every single week. And the women are just so good. It's stacked. By the way, as a sidebar, we're getting a gauntlet match this upcoming Tuesday to figure out who's going up against Roxanne at No Mercy. And the names included are fantastic. My hope is I would love to see Sol Ruka versus Roxanne at No Mercy. That match. What I love is that we have so many good women for Roxanne to go up against, because eventually, once they're ready and everything is good to go, you already know that Julia from New Japan, Delta from Rev Pro in the UK, and then also, of course, Stephanie Vaquer from CMLL. All three of those women signed to NXT and are waiting in the wings, for Roxanne. And I'm just like, let's go.
Every time you talk about Sol Ruka, we gotta shout out how cool her fucking parents are.
Her parents are amazing because they had a conversation with me, Minnie, and Uriel before Stand and Deliver 2 years ago. They are just like, oh, so you really are surfer hippies, and we love that.
It's awesome. And shout out to the Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, because she was in that costume during that match.
Oh, that's right.
So excited.
Forgot all about that.
But yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Give these women more time. Even if it's non-storyline women's matches, just do women's matches to have women's matches. It's cool. Have Chelsea fight somebody, have Piper fight somebody.
And I don't want we're up against it. We got talking empanadas, but I feel like there just needs to be another. We don't need more shows. We don't need more brands. And I don't want to segregate. But if we had an all women's show, like I've seen done in the past, and it was here's 60 minutes of all the women, I would absolutely watch that.
Oh, absolutely. Ugh. I mean, I know that Triple H introduced that we're going to have a women's speed championship, but I was just like, just give us women's mid-card titles for the main roster.
I know they're planning on it. I've heard that. They just haven't implemented it yet.
Literally, NXT already did the mid-card women's championship, and it has eliminated so many problems I've had with NXT over the last couple months, because now we have two women's championships. You split the women's division into those two divisions for the women's North American and the women's NXT, and it's been working out very well. So main roster needs to get on that. So shout out to Ava and Shawn Michaels and NXT for getting on that, because it's crazy. But we do have to get to our empanada ratings. So as always, because I watch both, I am going to give I'm going to give this a solid 8 out of 10 empanadas for WWE this week. Raw gets a 7, SmackDown gets an 8. So I'm going to give it a 8 overall, because even though Raw was a little bit tougher this week, it was still pretty entertaining. Though there were, again, the situation with the women's tag team championships is what brought it down this week for me on Raw. But other than that, that is my combined reviews. Professor, since you are on the Smacketh of Downs, and you watch that more primarily, what did you think about overall this week for WWE and SmackDown specifically, if you want
This is a good SmackDown. This is an 8.25, maybe 8.5, depending. You got the Pretty Deadly musical hint, which I'm just biased, and I'm going to love that every single time. Fatu came back, hit Roman with the boot for his holding his ankle in place, which is ridiculous. I'm going to go back and look at that DIY and Street Profits match, because that might have to be on my list of things to rewatch for the end of the year, because it was so good. Had 2 commercial breaks. They went almost 15 minutes. And again, Johnny Gargano is still friggin' incredible. I think it's sad they only had the title for a few weeks, and I'll get over that eventually, but that was still fantastic. Again, the women need more time. There's a few things and gripes that I have. We were back in the back of an Olive Garden for the Santos promo, which is fantastic as well. So it was solid. A very good, solid show. 8. I'll land on 8. I think that's fair.
I'm not going to give this the hindsight out of 10 like I did last week. These were solid. They were my biggest complaint right now is we're not pushing a lot of actual, like, some stories are slowly progressing, some of them are going really quick. So it's like the stories that we want to see more of are going really slow and it's starting to get to the point where like we're starting to bash our heads into brick walls. I feel like we got to get some sort of headway in this bloodline story. Yes, Roman's back, but cool. We expected it. We all expected it to happen. Cool. What's gonna make it better? Coming from, but everything else, yeah, women definitely need a little bit more time. Let's get something going with these tag titles. Do something with them, make them more interesting. I like the stuff they're doing with. I can't believe this is coming out of my mouth. I like the stuff they're doing with Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton.
Wow.
Mostly because I haven't really heard her talk that much because I haven't been paying attention too much to the talking, but I like where the story's going. If you guys have been watching the Iconics for a period of time, I'm not a big fan of Nia Jax promos. They make me angry. Something about the way she talks, I'm just like, I want to put tape over your mouth because this is getting really, I am now frustrated. But that means she's doing her job really well, so props to her. Yeah, these are solid 7.5 for me. Because I feel like some of these stories need to be progressed a little bit quicker. Other ones I feel like they're doing fine, and who cares about the New Day story right now?
That is very true. Which sucks, but that's gonna be it for us this week at Dual Dynasty. I am super happy to be with my WWE boys, and thank you for joining us to kick off your week. We got a fun, exciting week ahead of us. AEW is going to be happening. Our AEW review show is happening on Tuesday. CMLL on Wednesday. Make sure to tune into that particular CMLL as me, El Buntador, and Papa Oso himself. We are breaking down the Grand Prix that occurred over the weekend in CMLL. Team Mexico versus Team International with some very fun names like Kyle Fletcher, Claudio Castagnoli, Mansoor of MXM Collection. Like just some New Japan, some UK stars. It is fantastic. We have Ring of Honor and TNA on Friday. And then the weekend is going to be busy because we have night 1 of GCW Homecoming the Saturday watch along, and then All In's happening the following day. That review is going up next week as well as GCW. It's a whole entire busy next couple of days. So make sure you stay tuned to the social medias and the YouTube page to see when all that's happening. But from us here at Dual Dynasty and the rest of the BC WrestlePod family, all 9 of us here, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, but more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will see you later this week for the whole other bunch of reviews. But until then, sayonara, adios, and Minnie, what do we say around here?
'Cause we wanted to.
There we go. Catch you later.